Just kidding. I knew you were here. Come on, come on in. How is everyone? How are everyone? I think it is, right? Okay, so let's shut this. So, welcome to my studio. Eric is in town from Produce Like a Pro. Say hello, Eric.
Hey, hey.
All right, he's on the other side of the camera. And we have been filming some awesome stuff this week. And he thought while we were here, before he leaves town and flies back home, we would kind of take a tour of my room and let everybody see maybe the parts of the room that they don't see during the videos. So, man, what if we just start right here? Because this is kind of one of my most important elements, and that is the chocolate. You guys think, man, he kind of wears that chocolate thing out. He surely isn't serious. Surely I am. Chocolate-covered almonds. We just finished all the chocolate-covered cashews today. Chocolate-covered pistachios and cranberries. All dark chocolate, mind you. Dark chocolate raspberry almond crunch. Ghirardelli squares. 90% of some brand. I mean, look, Lint. Just this is the stash under the printer. So, and if anybody ever watched my Instagram reel that did really well for Lewitt, or with the Lewitt microphone of the tiny hands, here they are. So they're quite historic. We should do a giveaway on those someday. All right, so cool. Up here, I have my first gold and platinum, and those, obviously, I did not work on Van Halen, Cheap Trick, or Stevie Ray Vaughan. Those are just three records that mean something to me personally. Cheap Trick was I was 8 years old when that record came out, and just was infatuated with it. I remember thinking of the snare, the snare drum sound on it, because I was a young drummer and had a drum set and knew that my snare drum didn't sound like that. So it just holds a lot of memories for me as to knowing at a young age that I was meant to do this stuff, right? And Eddie is just an inspiration, because I want to be as good at anything as Eddie was. And Stevie Ray Vaughan, same thing. I mean, it's like the Michael Jordans of what we do. Let's go over here next. This is my fun box. This is my fun little destruction, Tower of Terror. So it's a bunch of guitar pedals. I have some extra ones just down here, various things that I don't use very often. And what I have here is some reamping rigs. This is from Signal Arts. Just random pedals. I don't think I'll go into many of them. Big Sky, everyone knows what that is. That's amazing. I don't use it very much anymore because they have it in a plug-in form. The ODR one, that I do use that quite a bit. That is like, gosh, it's just one of the best overdrive pedals ever for me. Just a cheap delay that's really cool because it goes into self-oscillation really easy. So you can get hands-on and change, send it into self-oscillation, and then change the parameters in real time, print it back into Pro Tools for some fun. MXR, Time Machine, Analog Chorus, POG, just real common stuff. OCD, that's another Signal Arts reamp box. And then up here is my, all these are radial DIs, reamping boxes. Dynamic Wall, that's really cool. Superchorus, Echoplex, the Memory Man, the Hazii, I think they call it, Hazii version, which is like I think it's the only stereo one they made. But it's not a true Memory Man in this way that some Memory Mans are. Probably the pride and joy over here is this. I don't know why I don't have it out to where you can see it, because it's, the original Boss chorus thing. But so I can you see all these cables right here. I can roll it out and patch it into other boxes or into my, it's heavy. Patch it into my patch bay. And there we go. And we have this. Whoa. Okay. I love picking that up and kind of during prints and bounces and playing some stuff. Next we have the hidden restroom. See this? This is actually, yes, it is acoustic treatment, but it is also a door into a bathroom equipped with a Fleetwood Mac poster. So how cool is that? So Eric's been in there a lot this week. Woo. Joke. That's a joke. That is a joke. I still have a bunch of Outboard. Back when I got into this, about Outboard effects units, back when I got into this game, Pro Tools was not very powerful by today's standards. So if you were doing heavy-duty mixing inside of Pro Tools, you had to have a rack of outboard effects units, because that was one of the most processor intense things that we would do is all our reverbs and delays. So I had, the PCM 70, I had like 4 Roland SRV 330s, Yamaha 990, Sony, I don't even know what that Sony box is. You know, the Lexicon here, you see that, which is really cool. And to be real honest, I don't use them at all anymore. I can't get rid of them. I still love them. They mean, you know, they're just memory pieces. This is the only thing I do occasionally still use, just because how can you not, right? It's just for fun. But that said, there are plugins that do, you know, those same patches and they recall, and it's kind of hard to justify, you know, to using it. But Machine by Native Instruments, I haven't used that in quite a long time either, but it's still here. Cool lava lamp, little vibe piece. I got my little Jimi Hendrix doll. I'm not a great guitar player. In fact, I'm a bad guitar player, but for some reason, great guitar players inspire me more than great engineers. I don't even know why that is. And I do have right there by a Lucky Buckeye. Check that out. How cool is that? So anyway, let's start getting into the good stuff. So command center here. First of all, from top down, the most important item is that Napoleon Dynamite is rolling very often in the background on mute just to improve my mood. And this Rex Kwon Do is one of my favorite instructors of all time. I mean, look at those pants, man. He's just badass. Okay, so my big speakers are the Adam S3Vs. So this is a 9-inch driver, and I can't remember if that's 3 or 4 mid-range, and then the ribbon tweeter that they're known for. I love them. I just absolutely love them. I get a lot of comments and questions about the U-brackets and where did I get them. They are actually from Adam. You can get those from Adam if you buy those speakers. That is, at least when I got mine a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now. Anyway, those were a part of something you could get at the time. These are standard, old, you know, probably 20 years old, Yamaha NS10s. Original cones, the tweeters have been, you know, redone, but I know they're blue. So I get a lot of questions about like, well, what are those? I just got bored. I have 2 pairs of the black ones, and I got bored. So I painted them blue one day. I mean, like, why not? I still have plans to put another layer and some texture on them. But I just, unfortunately stay so busy that I have not been able to follow through with that. Well, you know what? Let's actually start over here, Eric, because the way this is stereo bus central when I'm doing an outboard stereo bus. So everything comes in here, hits the solid state Logic Fusion. To me, that is it's one of those things that once you hear your mix going through Vintage Drive, you do not want to hear your mix without Vintage Drive. To me, it's just that good. I'm a solid state Logic fanboy. I will admit it all day long. So in fact, you can kind of see the settings. This is kind of, you know, a real go-to thing for me. But then is where I break out and I change my mind based on the song or the genre that I'm working on. So after it always hits the Fusion. It may or may not go through the Violet EQ or the high frequency compressor, but it's always going to hit the stereo image. Sometimes it will, or sometimes it will not hit the extra transformer. But that said, am I going to go solid state for the tight bottom end and the clarity, or am I going to go tube for the warmth and the puff and the girth? So, and a little bit of harmonic grit, you know, because sometimes you can drive. It's real easy. So even if you're gain staged real clean inside the box, if you want to push extra volume through the tubes to really saturate them, you just whoop right there on your output trim. So that's a really cool little trick. It's not even a trick. It's right there in plain sight. All right. So if I'm going solid state, and sometimes I mix and match, I have the Better Maker here. The Better Maker EQ is extremely cool. So think of it as a Pultec, but solid state with plug-in control for recall. So I can bring up a plug-in. So it's connected. I think it's USB-C if I remember right. Or maybe it's Ethernet. I think it's USB. And anything that I do here, you know, because it's an actual analog piece, it's just digitally controlled with the plug-in if you want it to be. And it's awesome. It's a Pultec, but very crystal clear with a tight bottom end. Then I have over here, so for EQ, let's just jump over here real quick, Eric. Sorry to go back and forth. I have the Tube Pultecs. This is the Audioscape version, the EQ-PA. So it's not the actual vintage Pultecs. These are from Audioscape, but I love them. I love the guys at Audioscape. I love what they do. I have a bunch of their products, as you will see. So if I want the tube thing instead of the solid state thing, I will go that route. But I also have the Violet EQ up here if I want to use that. You know, it's got the high frequency, the low frequency, and it's an entirely different sound. Then if I go into compression, I have the Solid State Logic Bus Plus. To me, it's the ultimate VCA compressor of all time. I mean, I have a real Solid State Logic over here pulled out of a console and repackaged. And this is like everything that does and so much more. I cannot say enough great things about the Bus Plus. If, however, I decide that the gushy, tubey thing, the variable mu thing is the best route for this song, like jazz, Broadway, moody, vibey country or bluegrass, I have the Manley variable mu right here. You guys all know what that is. It's just the ultimate, just move the meter 1 dB. I mean, sometimes if you're moving at 2 dB, it's too much. It's just this glue that has a nice, I wouldn't say it makes anything darker, but somehow the top end is like contained. It's just a magical piece. And I think that's why they're still manufactured, still sought after, very expensive. You know, there's a lot of high end circuitry inside there. Now, the last EQ, because to me, the choice of the EQ makes a big deal. It's a big difference. The Pultec sound very different than the Better Maker, which sounds very different than Violet, which sounds very different from right here, the Moog. In fact, we did a video on that in a Produce Like a Pro channel. I think it's called Recording Country with Moog or something. If you haven't seen that, go watch it, because this piece right here is incredible. It's a stereo pre of transformer-based preamp that's extremely clean, but also it has line inputs that bypasses that and goes right into an airband EQ. So I can get that thing, you know, Cliff Moog, his airband is just magical. It's got flavor. It's not a transparent high end, like, for example, the Better Maker is. The Better Maker is beautiful and transparent. This has character. So a couple dB of that sounds different than a couple dB of that, for example. All right, now let's move on. Oh, and also up in the top of the rack is the Teagler variable mu compressor. That's a really cool piece. I'm having trouble with one side of it right now. But the control surface wise, I have the Solid State Logic. I have two of the UF8s right here, and I have the UC1. Love it because I am a hands-on guy. I've been mousing for so many years that I have wrist pain. I mean, sometimes significant wrist pain. So anytime I can leave this laying down here and get hands-on, it's a win for me. So I use this a lot, especially now with the 360 link. I can control any plugin using this. So if I want to use my Brainworks SSLs or APIs or Kit plugins, I want to use their Neve, a UAD, any of that, I can pull it up here and use it just like it was the SSL branded channel strips, which is amazing. One thing that I have in front of this, you'll see, is I have a little iPad. And what I do a lot of times on my stereo bus is I insert decibel from Process Audio. Great metering software. It's all customizable. You can do all kinds of things. You're like, why does he have it so few meters on there and everything's so exaggerated big? That's because I don't actually watch it on the screen. I watch it right here. So when I'm mixing, I can see my stereo bus if it's in the sweet spot at all times. It's a fantastic thing. So it just connects to your iPad and you're off to the races. I have two sets of headphones that I use while I'm mixing. I mostly stick to speakers. I don't really like going back and forth between headphones and speakers very often, but I have the Neumann NDH30s and that are open back. Highly accurate, great mixing speakers or headphones. And then I have the Sony MDR MV1s. They're in that rack down there, out of sight right now, but they're also ready to go at any time. Some random preamps and some effects. I just moved those effects, those Line 6 Echo and Filter Pros. I actually love those. I love routing my pedals through them and doing some wacky stuff, but I just had to move them for a new piece of equipment I got that I haven't got to yet. But so they're up there and not even plugged in yet. Some repackaged Neve preamps from Dan Alexander, and then some Warm Audio Neves, some Universal Audio 610s, my Dangerous remote, Dangerous monitoring system. I think it's called the Dangerous XST. I can't remember the name of it. I'm so sorry. And then down here, this is a product we filmed a review on when Eric was here about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago. It's a tube reverb, kind of springy. that's digitally controlled. So you take your Ethernet cable, plug it into your computer, and you can control it via a plug-in. But it's actually a hardware reverb down there, and it's very unique, very cool when you're going for a thing. So it's one of those things. After I reviewed it, it's like I can't send it back. I need that. But that's by Tiegler. This is an M1 Mac. I can't remember which one. I get questions about which processor, how much RAM, and I can't remember. It's one of the high-end M1s. That's all I remember as far as RAM. Maybe 96? I can't remember. And then I have Auratones, believe it or not. I still have Auratones because the guy that I learned from 25 years ago had Auratones. So it's just an homage to him. And I still like hearing them off to the side in pressed together. So essentially I'm hearing almost mono. So I know where the lead vocal in the mid-range and maybe power chord guitars or hard panned elements like orchestra or acoustic guitars are setting in relationship to the lead vocal. I know it in real where they're setting, not stereo hype in the perfect position. But if you're not in the perfect position and you're not listening to full range audio, where are they really balanced out? So a lot of times that's the only time I'll use those is to test that kind of a thing. Most importantly, a lava lamp here and an orange lava lamp over there. Orange lava lamps are like that's my jam. Okay, so, you know what? I'm going to tell a little secret. I have a lot of wrist pain because I use my mouse a lot. I already mentioned that. Magnetic bracelets. So if you ever see in my videos and it's like what's that watch band he's got on, but I don't see a watch. I have 2 of these lined with magnets. And I don't know what they do, but they cut the pain. This is a magnetic bracelet too. It's not just for, to try to be cool and young and hip and cool. So right here, we're getting ready to, we haven't even patched these up yet. Harrison Audio sent us these to, they're not mine. They're just to demo and try to see if we want to do a video with them. So Harrison Audio is now making, now that they're teamed up with SSL, is making 500 series gear. Okay, let's look in the hot box here. In the hot box, we have an Avid I/O that's 16 channels, and then the one under that is another 8 channels. It's an 0192, and so that does another channel, 8 channels of outboard, and then the last 8 channels. If you remember the 192, you had an additional 8 that could be either in or out, which was weird. But this one is out, and it's patched to the headphone system. So when we get to the booths, the cues are driven by that second interface. Then we have the McGSP APB16, which that one actually belongs to Warren Hewitt. He sent that to me to do a demo for the channel. Really don't want to remind him that it's his and that I have it because I'm hoping he'll forget and then I'll get to keep it for all eternity. And then back after that in the bottom is my card housing. It houses the HDX card or cards. I can't remember how many cards I have. And UAD cards are all in that little expansion chassis. What else is over here that we need to talk about? Oh, power amp for the NS10s. Down under the desk. That's the CLA 200, the Chris Lord Algae thing that he partnered with Aventone. I've really liked it. I've got it I've had it for 3 to 4 years now. It's been rock solid because I used to go through power amps on the NS10s about every year. It was so frustrating. And for some reason, that one just keeps going and it sounds great. I think it's actually made to match NS10s and they did a great job on it. And something I can't speak highly enough about, the Black Lion power supply down there. I think they call it the PG2. They make a PG1 version of it as well. At the time, and when I got that, I was in a studio that had some dirty power issues. And I could see lights flicker and I would develop noise in speakers. And sometimes in certain pieces of hardware, just from dirty power. And I just thought it was an unavoidable thing that I couldn't get rid of. And Black Lion, a rep, sent me one of those to try it and see what I thought. And I thought, it's a power supply. Like, yeah, I can turn it on and I can use my gear. I really didn't expect to love it. But I noticed all of a sudden when the lights would flicker during some kind of a weird power thing, my speaker wouldn't make noise anymore. And my gear was quiet that was patched into it. It's like, I don't know what they do. I don't want to say the brand that I was using previously, but that was a noticeable difference. So that's the Black Lion. And all of this great gear is housed in one of the most important things in the studio to me, and that's this desk. This is the Trapeze series from Session Desk. And this was one of the most significant improvements I made to this studio within the last year. I used to have a large console style desk, and it was great. It looked amazing. But what it did is it placed the monitor the computer monitor kind of high. And I was constantly looking up. And over the years, it really did a lot of damage to my neck because I worked just so many crazy hours. And so I wanted to fix that. And this was the product that I saw out there that really got my attention. I love the white color, and you can get it in numerous finishes and different depths and widths and all that kind of thing. But it's just it's an incredible piece. I'm really happy with it. It's Session Desk is the brand, so look that up.
Light a candle in the darkness.
Hey everyone, Joe Carrell here. I want to invite you to join me in this mix room right here as we break down an incredible production of my friend Mackenzie Johnson, a song called Sisterhood. We're going to break it down piece by piece, track by track, and see how we created this otherworldly, haunting, reverberant soundscape for this song and created the final image that you hear now. It was an amazing production from my friend Mikey Slowey, and Mackenzie sang her tail off like she always does, layered up lots of vocals, and so it was quite a challenge to get the soundscape that she was looking for all packaged into these two speakers. That said, we're going to deep dive into the multi-tracks that you can actually mix along with yourself and see how we did it. So join us here for Mackenzie Johnson's Sisterhood breakdown of moody pop.
Welcome to the sisterhood. I know you see me like I see you.
Eric, let's talk about this rack right here, and then we'll talk about studio construction a little bit. I haven't taken this downtown yet because our tracking room's under construction. This is the 8-channel SSL Octo the Pure Drive Octo version. I can't wait to use it. I just know I'm going to love it. 2 channels of Neve pulled out of Ronnie Millsap's console. So that's got a little history. I used to work in that studio when his Neve was in there before they retired it into the Hall of Fame. And when they retired it to the Hall of Fame, they put a big plaque in half of it and took those channels out and racked them up. So I was able to buy 2 channels of Nashville history. Avalon 737, we have 2 of those, one down in the tracking room, one here for vocals, because it's always been a favorite of mine. It's tube, but it's a clean tube. It just sounds like a record to me. Just fun out stuff. API 550Bs. That can be routed. I can route this into compressor. So I go EQ into compression, and the compression that I'm going into here is the Audioscape V3A. So it's an LA3A in a 500 series. Couple invisible mic pre's, very transparent, the Grace, and then a couple more reamping boxes. I love guitar pedals, guys. So the ones that are out here change. This is the Warm Audio, Centavo, oh gosh, I can't remember. The Klon? Is that what it is? And this is a Dan Electro Tape Echo, and of course, the TS9 Ibanez Tube Screamer. But all that stuff varies. Little fun pieces. My team down at the studio got me this one time for Christmas. It's a little mini me. They ordered, see, the red shoes, black jacket, and my St. Louis Cardinals hat, and the blue. Look, the bluish green NS10s. How cool is that? All right, so going top to bottom here, the Manley ELOP, think of it as like an LA2A, so it's 2 optical compressors in one. However, it sounds nothing like an LA2A. It's very hi-fi and very fast. So it's very different. It's a unique animal. That is a vintage Teletronics LA2A from Gold Star in Hollywood. So Phil Spector, actually, this was in his room. There were 2 of them. And so I had to buy it just because I know his hands were on it, and who knows what records, and it was used on, and what instruments on those records. So it's a piece of history. This is one of my newest pieces. This is the Stam Child MK2 670. It's a Fairchild clone, and I've got to play with it just a little bit so far because it's very new. But I did. I don't have a vintage Fairchild, right? I can't afford that. But what I did do, and I've used Fairchilds, but I put it up against the best hardware software versions, And there was an undeniable weight and character and girth that it added that, made me absolutely want to keep it here. 2 distressors, Audioscape Decomp, it's kind of an EMI Chandler type compressor, API 2500 for drums. Honestly, all these are drums. These are different flavors of drums. This is like just mad. I don't know. They're all capable of being so good in different ways. But that's why I keep all 3 of them in the rack. This is the T-Comp. It's a solid state variable mute, which I know can exist in real life, meaning that its ratio and knee kind of float to create the effect of a variable mute compressor, even though it's solid state. And it's very cool. And it's not that expensive either. This is the Heritage Audio successor, which is kind of like their take on a 33609 2254. That's the warm audio version of the SSL bus compressor. It's actually really, really good. The transformer option is awesome, and it has some extra settings that the original SSL did not have, which make it very flexible. This is an actual SSL pulled out of an old console and repackaged, so it's an old 4000E, I believe, console compressor. John Oram compressor. This is cool because it's VCA and optical in one package. A gate stay level. And this is not an original. This is not a vintage one. This is a reissue that you can hand make from Drip Audio, I think. So go up here. 2 of my absolute favorite pieces that I own. I can't say enough good things about these. This is the Locomotive Audio 14B. So this is a variable mute tube compressor with adjustable attack and release. And it is one of the most magical boxes I've ever tried. I can't recommend it enough. Handmade in St. Louis by a guy named Eric and his brother. And it's just he's just making it the way it would have been made in 1950. I mean, it's like a tank. It's just so cool. Audioscape Blue Stripe and Audioscape Revision F. And so these pieces right here specifically, most of these are bus pieces. So you patch them across a vocal bus, a drum bus, etc. These are the ones that I will patch out to individual instruments and print back in the box. So it's like, if I want this on a vocal, I literally bought 2 just for when I do duets. I like it that much. If I want to do it in real time and I don't want to print them back in, I needed 2 channels of it. It's that good. But, if you need the blue stripe thing on a vocal, you need the blue stripe thing. And so I can run audio out through that. And again, these are both the Audioscape. This is the Warm Audio 76. And it is really good and very affordable. And that's one of the early editions, one of the early ones. I think it's one of the first couple hundred that they made. Over the time that they've made the 76, they've adjusted where compression kicks in to adjust harmonic distortion levels on the transformer. And this early one, I just love it. It's clean, which I really like, because I have harmonic distortion here if I need it. So the other ones are downtown. An original DBX 160 VU, and then the brains for the headphone system. This patch bay is everything that's in this rack, and these patch bays down here are for everything that's in this rack and for the monitoring system and all that. And so I just run snakes back there to go back and forth. All right. Let's talk about studio construction just a little bit. Well, first of all, I'm really into lighting. So everything that you see here lighting-wise is on faders, so I can go dark if I want to, because I like to mix in the dark a lot. And I even have a blackout blind for the door. So if I want some sunlight, natural daylight to get in here, great, if I need it. But if I'm shooting a video or if I'm mixing a really moody song that is tearing me up inside, and I need to dark it, I can. All right, but let's talk about things like this. Built-in bass traps that is a foot deep in mineral wool. I wanted, they're built into the wall, both sides. You'll see up here, because it's not just corners. You also get issues anywhere there's a 90-degree angle. You get issues with bass buildup, floor and ceiling. So I built a very large 18-inch deep bass trap up there, just full of insulation. And then, that's my trophy wall. That's fun. But this was my dad's. This was one of my earliest memories of listening to music. And so it doesn't even function anymore. I should probably get it repaired, but it's just here for inspiration. That's here for inspiration. That's here for inspiration. I'm a red Corvette guy. Napoleon. Vote for Pedro. Lava lamp, just awesome stuff like that. And on the sides of me, where the areas of the first reflections are, I have mineral wool in 3.5. So like a 2x4 wall, has 3.5, 3 3/4 inch depth mineral wool. So that's what's in here. Then up above me, see this massive cloud that I had made? Can you see that, Eric? If you really get a shot at it. And I left the LEDs on, so they may be flickering on your camera. I apologize if they are. But that said, that's 2 layers deep of 3.5, 3 3/4. So that's like 7 inches deep worth of mineral wool up there. And of course, the lights are built into it. But when I'm sitting in this position, behind the speakers, as you can see, is 3.5 inches of mineral wool directly behind them. And then in the corners is another, at its deepest point, is 18 inches of mineral wool. So lots of absorption in this front part, on both sides of me, anywhere that you could see, the trick of holding a mirror up on the wall. And if you're in the mixed position and you can see your speaker, that means you're getting direct first reflection. So all that is killed here on both sides of the room. So that's really important. Construction wise, I busted out the 8-foot ceiling and went up to, I think it's 11.5, which is the highest I could go in this particular room. But structure-wise, I did a lot. I spent quite a bit of money on this room because I wanted it to be able to work in rain, storms, neighbors mowing a yard. I didn't want it to affect me. So all the walls are double walls. So there's a 2x4 wall, air gap, and another 2x4 wall with 2 layers of sheetrock that are mudded and taped to be airtight and even caulked at the floor and around the outlets. So, and the double doors, with the glass is laminate glass, double layer with an air gap in the middle. So there can be a lawnmower going out there and I don't even know it. I keep working. The ceiling, we built extra layers on the trusses, and so the rafters, so we could get a full 8 inches of insulation, or was it 10 inches? 8 or 10 inches of insulation. And then I did a layer of plywood, and then we mudded and taped that just like it was sheetrock, except with caulk, so it was airtight. Then we put sheetrock up with green glue between the layers. And I think there's green glue between the sheetrock layers as well on the walls, which adds another couple decibels worth of reduction or isolation. And then we mudded and taped that as if it was a finished layer, and then the decorative wood that you see up there. So it has to be raining really hard for me to even know that it's raining, which I love. The flooring, there wasn't much I could do here because there is a crawl space underneath it. So what I did is I put on top of the subfloor, I put green glue with another layer of plywood, and then what do they call this stuff? Mass loaded vinyl. And then the flooring that you see, the decorative wood look, which is actually vinyl. Man, I tell you, it works, because I was afraid I would do all this isolation and then the vents under the house would let the sound of lawnmowers and birds and various things leak up through the floor. And this would be the weak spot. So that's why I did, the best I could from underneath as well. All right, so this is booth number 1. I will tell you the doors do have double layers of laminate. I can't remember the thickness of the glass, but it's not just glass. It's layers of glass with the film between layers to where it doesn't resonate and it's really dead sounding. And it's the studio glass. That's what studios have. All right, let's go in here. And every corner is bass trapped to be, I think it's 8 inches, 10 inches. I can't remember. But all 4 corners are bass trapped. The ceiling is 2 inches of Owens Corning 703, 3.5, 3 3/4 inch mineral wool here and here. I haven't made the one for here yet. I just got so busy, but that's on the to-do list. If anybody's watching and you're in Nashville and you're really good at handiwork with wood and you want to frame one of those out for me, come see me. All right, so let's see what I have. A lot of my microphones are downtown in the tracking room because that's where they get used the most. But I do keep some of my finest mics up here just for me. So if I'm going to use them downtown, I haul them in the car. I don't want to just keep them down there and let them get stolen or let them get dropped or anything else. So here I have the Heiserman 251. Possibly the finest microphone I've ever owned. Really, it's expensive. But, you know, sometimes you get what you pay for, and this is just a jewel of a microphone. It's just magic. So if I'm looking for the high frequency thing, I swing that into place. Now, this is a U47 clone. This is from Signal Arts. I actually currently have two of these and I'm testing one of them. That's a new design. So I'll let you know how that goes. But I love this. I can't remember the street price of these. They're not cheap, but they're not crazy either, and they're extremely good. What they do to sibilants and things is just unbelievable. But you know, just little thing, a cloud lifter. You know, every studio needs one of those. These are the Behringer boxes for the booths, and this is cool because this is from Omnisound Studio. You're like, well, that's kind of nasty. Yeah, it is, but that's nasty history. That was a Studio Music Row. And I used to work there a lot. In fact, one time I locked out a room there. When they closed, I asked for one music stand, one stand light, and one of their pads that they used to have on the music stands. But see right there, I don't, you know, it's important that stays right there to me. There was some history made there. So anyway, sad to see it gone, but we'll kick off that light and we'll go into the next booth. I don't think there's anything in there. I tried to the booths are meant to just be comfortable and, you know, large enough that you don't feel cramped, but, you know, small enough that they would fit inside this space and allow my control room to be still as big as it could be. This is booth number 2, and this is mostly for storage and possibly acoustic guitar. So I have some other, I have some other mics in here that are really cool talk about stuff. The LCT 1040 from Lewitt. This is another one of those, just, gosh, such a cool microphone. So many different voicings, but it's got that natural, you know, Lewitt thing of being super clear and transparent, but with just a lot of flexibility and making it into something else. And then what? This is my U67 style mic. This is from Monheim mics. This is their mic called the Royalty. Check this out. It looks like it's Prince, purple and gold. And if you can see the light, the sparkle, and that finish beautiful. But it's a 67 capsule with electronics that make it very similar to a 67, but a little more airy. So not quite as mid-forward. So the top end and the mids are a little more balanced, which is not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a little different. And I happen to really like it. I used it on a female artist one time on like a bossa nova jazz date. It sounded so good I had to keep it. And I'm trying to remember how much those cost, but it seems like $3,500. Same thing in here. You got bass traps in every corner. This one, because of the window, I couldn't get the bass trap that I wanted, but nonetheless, it's there. The windows between the booths are the same thing, that laminate glass. I wish I could remember the thickness, but they're sealed with that foam. So the singer in here and the singer in here, or the guitar player, there's no leakage. It's double walls, double insulation, the whole 9 yards. What's fun in here? Ukulele. Let's hear the tuning on this one. Yeah. It's not awesome, but you know, it's cool. And the first ukulele I ever bought. This is cool. I keep this only because first electric guitar I ever owned. I was 11. My mom and dad bought me this for Christmas. Missing one of the strings. These are the original strings. So it's not even to get played. It's just I just want it with me, you know, for the rest of my life. Let's look at the guitar. So I have a Les Paul here. Les Paul, traditional. Love this guitar. Gorgeous. Sustains for days. This is just a very inexpensive Squier Strat, but it's in here in case I ever need it, or somebody that comes in to play it, needs it. This is a Martin HD28. That's just, that big, boomy Martin thing. It was given to me as kind of an heirloom from a family friend that passed away. So that's a really cool, it means something. Taylor, Big Baby, very inexpensive guitar, but gosh, it plays so good and sounds really great. I think they're like $500. And there's a classical gut string guitar. And let's see, the mics that I keep here change out a lot depending on what I'm doing downtown. It looks like right now I have two Lewitt LCT 640s. Love our friends at Lewitt. They're so good to the channel because we love their products. So they seem to like us too. So that said, we have two of these in here, and I have we just did a video on this, the Austrian Audio OC818. So I haven't even got to use this on anything but one session so far, but that was a really, really great sounding microphone that's capable of some really cool things. So let's see. As you can tell, the theme of the color for all the lighting and everything is that aqua bluish green color. We'll turn that off. But gosh, man, that's pretty much it. I just want it to be a comfortable space. Guests can come and audition their mixes, be comfortable. We have our own entrance, from the driveway, our own restroom, and it's just kind of, it's home. I spend more time here than I do anywhere in my life. I put in a lot of hours, so I wanted a room that was finally that kind of a room that I've always wanted. Comfortable, great in any environment, no matter what's going on outside. If I have electricity, I can work, no matter how much noise and stuff is going on outside. So it's the room I've always wanted, and now I have it. I'm really proud of it. And Napoleon agrees. He likes it a lot because he spends a lot of time in here with me. Eric, do you like it?
I love it.
You love it? Yeah, awesome. If you have any questions about the room that I didn't get to, the question I get a lot, Eric, is these behind you here? No, there's no real history here. They're not records that I did. People assume these are like, oh my God, what records were those used on? Those are just for decoration, just old reels of tape. Why not? I think they look cool. But that's it. And I don't really have a name for this room other than I call it Mojo Mix sometimes to match my email name, and that's about it. So, guys, thanks for joining me on this little tour, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about any of the gear or anything, put it below, and I'll try to respond. Thanks for joining us. Are you walking away? Are you leaving? Bye, come back, Eric. It's chocolate. There's chocolate right here. Come back. You're cold. You're cold.